Hey, and welcome back to the fourth EMA Artist Q&A. We're here with Moses, who is, you'll recognise him as being a teacher here at the Academy, and also a fantastic musician who we're very lucky to have here teaching with us. So, but thanks for being here talking to us this morning.
Thanks for the invitation.
No worries. All good. It'll be really cool for our students and obviously your students to get to know a little bit more about you and your career. You're a multi-instrumentalist, but bass is your primary instrument when it comes to performing. What is it about the bass that you love so much?
What is it? I guess like I get my own space and frequency, unless the piano player likes to play too far low. But I have my own frequency, so I got my own space, and you tend to cut through the mix quite a lot. Like, people notice that when you're not playing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
But it's kind of scary when there's nowhere to hide. So you can't make a mistake because everyone's going to know.
Yes. You're very much in demand as a bass player for live performance work and have played with some amazing Kiwi artists. How did you get started in this area in the industry?
Definitely, I guess my first one would have been with the Navy Band. We got to play in a lot of fundraisers and charity events, so they had a lot of big names accompany the Navy Band to play. Mm-hmm. And then through just getting to know people or getting to know the artists themselves,
Cool.
Eventually they'll ask you, hey, you want to jump on such gigs? So that's how that happened. So
Cool.
Got lucky, I guess.
Awesome.
Very fortunate.
What do you enjoy most about being a session musician versus just being in one band?
Variety. Most definitely variety. I think you can get really complacent with your playing and your style of playing if you're only playing with one type of drummer. Particularly, like, bass players have to connect with drummers, and if you don't connect with your drummer, you're just not going to have a good time, Yeah. And you can get a lot of drummers who are very stubborn in the way they play, and so you kind of have to bend to their will. And you don't want to be stuck with that one drummer for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah.
But it sometimes you don't realize how good they are until you go, with another band who you'll probably connect more, but on a technical level, they're not as good.
Yeah.
And so when you go back to the drummer who is very stubborn in their ways, you become more appreciative of the way they are.
Yeah.
And I think having those multiple different experience will help you evolve as a musician, most definitely. So
Nice.
I prefer playing with a new band. I pretty much play with a new band every single night.
Yep.
It's always a different band every single night, and because of that, I'm always learning something new. Or I would always try and go out and watch other bands so I can learn what they do, or take the things I like and try and not do the things I don't like.
Yeah. The band Jukebox that you play in, that would be like your main project, like your most regular group?
Most regular, yeah. It's the one I put most of my time in.
Yeah. And I mean, we've come and seen you play. It's essentially a live jukebox.
Yeah.
So, like, tell us how that came about and how do you prepare for being put on the spot every night?
I don't actually know how the concept was brought up. It definitely wasn't my idea, but I know Dylan, who's pretty much our band leader, and a couple of other band leaders within the gigging scene environment had that idea of, like, requests are becoming a regular thing. I think everyone just thinks that we can ask a request from any band, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And not all bands can do requests.
No.
But we I guess for us, over time, we noticed that we could take on requests and do them.
Yeah.
And we were getting better and better at it. And then eventually got to a point, hey, why don't we just do an entire night of just requests?
Yeah.
And then so Dylan pulled all the top players that he thought that would have a really good wide range of knowledge in terms of music.
Yeah.
And so he was very careful about not picking people who, you don't want a full band full of, like, rock heads and then they couldn't do R&B or hip hop, because it wouldn't really work. But the dynamics within the band is that all five of us kind of cover different genres really, really well.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've got quite a generic knowledge in music in general, in a lot of genres. But the one I kind of lay heavy on would be like nu metal.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Everyone's like, wow,
Yeah,
I thought you'd be the hip hop guy.
No,
I am the hip hop guy.
I discovered this when we were setting up for jam nights. We were just listening to, like, Korn and Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, every time a request comes in and it's a hip hop song or some sort of rapping song, the whole band looks at me and is like, I'm the new metal guy. I don't know why
Yeah.
you guys are looking at me. I do tend to do a lot of the rapping,
Yeah.
for sure. But I like new metal stuff because that's that was my teenage years. Hip hop was kind of like my years before then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Late 90s, 2000s.
yeah, crazy.
How do you guys prepare?
Often I definitely listen to a lot more radio now than ever before, and it's really just to keep track of what's going on, and you definitely want to stay tuned to today's events. So if someone passes or there's a band coming, or a band's coming and it got cancelled, like Elton John just recently got cancelled, and so that week everyone was just requesting Elton John, crazy, you know. So generally we like I normally maybe an hour before I go to jukebox, I'll just sit there and just listen to the top 10, see what's up. I'll try and quickly learn it. But definitely I do spend a lot of time on songs that we've seen requested, and I'm like, I don't know that song. I like the song, but I don't know it. So I will try and learn it.
Yeah, because it's probably going to get requested again next time.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely when we do try songs we've never done before, if I horribly, played it badly, I will go out of my way just to learn it, so I will never let that happen again, So
sweet, cool.
Yeah, there is no real way to prepare for it, to be honest. And we get a lot of guys to come and fill in for the band, and they always ask, what should I learn? It's like, you can't learn everything, just rely on your instincts and your musical training to get you through. See you on the other side.
What advice and tips would you give musicians looking to make a career in the music industry?
Definitely, golden rule number one is just to be a good person, right? More than anything, more than any technical musical skill. Be likable, try and be sociable, and definitely be more outgoing. Absolutely, and definitely try and be open-minded, because usually if you got a bit of tunnel vision, or you have like different beliefs that can conflict with the general public, that can really ruin your chances of being able to be asked or be considered to play with others, So
nice.
That will be the main one, but and the second one will be discipline within like in rehearsing or learning your material. Like it's not enough to say, I've heard the song, I know it. Then you turn them, you don't actually know it, and it wastes a lot of people's time if you don't learn the set when you've been given plenty of time to learn. Like that's usually in the session world, you've only got one shot. You screw up once, and then they probably won't ask you again. And there's only so many people who are going to ask you in the first place. So you don't want to ruin any of your chances. So anything that you do, just go all out. Do your absolute best. And if it wasn't good enough, it just wasn't for you, or it wasn't your time.
Do you have a favorite show you've performed?
Do I?
I mean, there's been like thousands.
Yeah, there's too many to think. Off the top of my head, outside the Navy, definitely Splore was one of my favorites.
Cool.
That whole weekend was just an experience.
Who did you play there with?
I was with Hipstomatics at the time.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty dope set. We almost caused the riot.
Oh, no.
Because people were demanding more.
Well, your party set at that festival, right?
Yeah, we were the mega party set.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do another one, and the technicians on stage said, "No, you can't do another one."
Yeah.
And then
Stick to schedule.
stick to schedule. We were already behind.
Yeah.
We were already behind.
Man.
And it wasn't our fault, But yeah, like people were getting angst, and they started throwing stuff on stage. We're like, I think we should just play this one more number.
Yeah.
We did, and they were not, happy with
crowd
us.
was happy.
And we were like, okay, you know what? You only really get to do Spore once.
Yeah.
So
do it once, do it right.
do it once, do it right. Yeah.
It's an all ages show, eh? Like,
I think so.
It's on the beach. And
Yeah. But definitely that would be my number one outside the Navy. Inside the Navy, man, I did so many. Like in any gigs at a stadium, it's just a completely different feel.
Yeah.
It's very frightening.
Yeah.
We did like a lot of rugby games, a lot of the All Black games, World Cup games. I always find that kind of memorable, especially when you're playing the national anthem. You feel like you're standing there with the team. You are pretty much standing with the team.
Yeah.
They're right there on your right, and you're looking at them. They're crying, and you're like, I'm gonna cry too.
That's amazing.
You know? Yeah, and when you march off the field, everyone's cheering for you.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be an All Black. You know?
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
so
dope.
cool.
And so I've done that in multiple different stadiums around the world.
Yeah.
Definitely playing in Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah, man.
You know, I thought Eden Park was massive. Then you
That
go to
place is
Sydney, it's
neat.
like,
yeah, it's like another
Yeah.
20,000 people. or
yeah, I
something.
know, yeah.
Huge.
And then like my tour in South Korea was so much fun.
Yeah.
I've been there 3 or 2 times, I can't remember, but every time I go, it's just an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And Koreans, they love Kiwis.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite performances, doing the military tattoo there, because they basically invite a whole bunch of different military bands to come together.
Yeah.
And they perform
Yeah.
like multiple shows throughout the week, and you get to create new friendships, new, you know,
Amazing.
and you start to learn your other cultures and stuff. It's it's a good time.
Nice.
I love it.
Outside of your work at EMA, what do you have planned for 2023 in music?
In music, I'm definitely gonna dabble into some parody music.
Cool.
I've written a couple of tunes to make fun of some of my hobbies. Like I love gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it enough for the amount I have for it, but I like the gaming community. It's very toxic, but also kind of hilarious. So I've written a couple of songs about those things. So I want to kind of deep dive into that just a little bit. Definitely helping in a lot of original projects, a lot of young singer-songwriters coming up. So
Yeah, cool, man.
that's always been my thing. I love giving my time to develop young artists and develop, you know, songwriting techniques. And that's kind of like, I will always, because I'm a session player, I will always do something as long as I'm getting paid, except for when it comes to creating music. You know, I don't charge for that. I just want to be part of the process. I like the process. You know, it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. If you could play bass for one artist, who would it be?
Yeah, that's a tough one, eh?
That's the last question, so it's got to be good.
I honestly don't know. There's too many to think.
Yeah.
To think of.
Whoever pays the most.
Oh, well, no, not like if it was someone like John Mayer, you don't pay me, mate. I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely, like as a surprise, my son absolutely loves Justin Bieber,
Yeah.
and so we're constantly listening to it. And then one day on YouTube, decides to play his full live set.
Yeah.
I think it was the Live Forest set he does in LA.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to sit and watch it, you know,
Yeah.
because it's a full band. You get to see
Yeah.
the band do their thing.
Was band incredible?
Oh, they were amazing.
Yeah.
And then, but you also, I started listening to the songs properly, and I was thinking about, man, how did he come up with that? You know, the way they approach the song, even though it's just your standard, you know, pop 4-chord progression.
Yeah.
What they did with it, and all the little, you know, bits that you don't really listen to, but it's there, and you don't know it's there until you take it away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, something's missing there.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
the best bits, right?
Those were the best. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, yeah, if I get to play for Justin Bieber, that would be awesome.
You'd be like,
Justin
you'd be like
Bieber.
the coolest dad around it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But yeah, there's too many to name. I love them all.
Cool, man. Thanks for having a chat to us.
No worries. Thanks for having
hopefully
me.
everyone watching got some good inspiration out of that and learn a bit more about you. And we'll see you next week at work.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys next week. Keep practicing, everybody.
Thank you.